welcome to Slow Flow Hatha Yoga. I'm Pat. We're going to start standing on our mat in mountain pose. It's a gray last day of February, I think, right? Last day of February, yes. And tomorrow is the beginning of March. Feels like spring. So we will start in mountain with our feet hip width apart. We're going to roll our shoulders back, open up our chest, turn our palms so they're facing forward. We're just going to stand in mountain, just finding the place where we feel that our feet are planted firmly on the mat, where we can feel our big toe, our baby toe, and our heel pressing into the mat below us, where we can start to lift our arches so that we're activating our legs, feeling our quads start to tighten up as we lift our knees. We're just going to stand here, tightening our core, keeping our shoulder blades together behind us, our chest open, palms facing forward. We're just going to breathe in through our nose and exhale through our nose. We're just going to continue to breathe just at whatever rate feels good. So just noticing as our breath comes in through our nose and out through our nose. Starting to focus on lifting, feeling our chest rise as our breath comes in. And our chest rise drops as we exhale. So let's focus on breathing in and just slowing our breathing down slightly. So we're going to breathe in and exhale. And I'm just going to count as we breathe in. So we're going to count as I breathe in, we're going to count in 1, 2, 3, and then out 2, 3. So breathe in 1, 2, 3, and out 2, 3. Let's slow it down a little bit more. Breathing in 2, 3, and out 2, 3. One more time. In 2, 3, and then out 2, 3. And now this time when we breathe in, we're going to breathe in, and at the top of our third breath, we're just going to hold slightly before we exhale. We're not really holding our breath. We're just holding that inhale before we exhale at the same rate. So we're breathing in 1, 2, 3, and we're just holding slightly and then exhaling 2, 3. Again, a little slower. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Just hold at the top and exhale 2, 3. One more time. Inhale 2, 3. Hold and exhale 2, 3. Now let's sweep our arms up overhead as we inhale and slowly exhale down. Inhale up and exhale down. One more inhale up and exhale down. Let's lift both our arms straight up with our palms facing each other, but not touching. Dropping our right arm down, pressing our fingertips up just slightly overhead. So we're feeling a stretch up the side of our body, and then exhaling down. Inhale up both hands, again, palms facing but not touching, dropping our left arm down, and again, just pressing our fingertips up to the ceiling, feeling a stretch up the side, and then exhaling down. Let's do that again. Inhale, sweeping our arms up, inhale, and exhale down. Inhale up, and exhale down. One third time, inhale up, And exhale down. And now arms straight up overhead, fingertips up to the ceiling, dropping our right arm down, pressing our fingertips up, and just feeling a stretch up the side, and then exhaling down. Inhale up, both hands, palms facing, but not touching. Left arm down. Press our right arm up to the ceiling, fingertips to the ceiling, feeling the stretch up the side, keeping our arm close to our ear, just holding and breathing, and then exhaling down. Let's bring our hands to heart center. Let's turn so we're facing the short edge of the mat. And let's just move into a sitting back into chair. With our hands still at heart center, so we're sitting in chair. We're just going to lift our right heel up off the mat and then drop it down. Lift our left heel up off the mat and drop it down. Right heel up again and down. Left and down. Let's come all the way up. And now let's just, with soft knees, let's just hinge forward from our hips. Just let our hands drop down as far as they'll go. Hold on to our elbows and just pressing our hips back so we feel a stretch up the back of our legs. Let's just hang here. Just let our head hang down. Let it be heavy. And just hold here, pressing our hips back. And then just swaying slightly to the right, slightly to the left. Just rocking slightly back and forth. Again, just letting our head be heavy, just letting it relax. Just going to do this for just another few breaths. And now let's bring our hands to heart center again, straightening up. Let's open our arms out wide. Big inhale. Sweep our arms up overhead. Exhale down. Sweeping our arms up again. Inhaling as we lift up. Exhaling slowly down. One more time. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Bringing our hands to heart center. Let's move into flying bird. Let's step back with our right foot, with our left knee bent, opening our arms. And then as we step forward, we bring our arms together and exhale. Step back with our left. Our right knee is bent, arms are open. And then stepping forward, bringing our hands to heart center and exhaling. So we're inhaling as we step back. We're exhaling as we step forward. Inhaling as we step back. Exhaling as we step forward. Let's do this 2 more times on both sides. Again, we're just taking our time, keeping our breath nice and slow, just warming ourselves up. 1 more time on each side. Again, and stepping back. Perfect. Now let's keep our hands at heart center. Let's sit back into chair again, just as we did before. And again, let's lift our right heel up off the mat. Just feel the stretch in our foot. Place our heel back down. Lift our left heel up off the mat, feeling the stretch in our foot. Placing our heel back down. 1 more time on the right. Placing our heel down. 1 more time on the left. Heel down, again, straightening, keeping our arms, keeping our knees just a little bit soft. And again, let's open up our arms wide, sit into chair, sweep our arms in front of our bent knees and come all the way up. So again, let's sit back into chair with our arms wide, sweep our arms in front of our bent knees and come up. Sit back into chair, sweeping our arms. And when we come up, we really stretch our fingertips all the way to the other side of the room. So we're really sitting back into chair, sweeping our arms in front, opening up, pressing our fingertips away. Let's do that all together. So let's sit back into chair, sweep our arms, open up wide. Let's do this 3 more times. Always inhaling as we're up, sitting back into chair, sweeping our arms all the way up. 1 more time, sitting back into chair, sweeping our arms, bringing our hands to heart center again. Let's move back into flying bird a little bit faster this time. Let's step back, arms open, step forward. Step back with our left, arms open, step forward. We're bringing our right and our left side together as we're doing flying bird and getting ready for some of our other standing poses. So let's just keep doing this 2 more times on each side. 1 more time. Now again, let's sit back into chair. Sweep our arms in front of our bent knees. Open all the way up with straight legs. Sit back into chair. Sweep our arms. Open all the way up. Sit back into chair. Sweep our arms all the way up. 1 more time. Sit back into chair. Sweep our arms all the way up. And now this time we're going to swan dive all the way down to the mat. And we're going to move into our first child's pose. So let's bring our hands all the way down to the mat, come down into hands and knees. Let's bring our knees wide to the wide edges of the mat and our toes together and sit back in our first child's pose. We'll just let gravity, let our hips drop down, and we're just going to hold in 5 breaths here. And in our 5th breath, we're going to come up onto hands and knees. We're going to bring our knees in so they're directly under our hips. We're going to bring our arms directly underneath, like our wrists directly under our shoulders. Our fingers are spread wide. Our feet are flat on the mat, or our toes are turned under. And we're going to move into cat and cow. So for cat, we're going to start by dropping our tailbone, rounding our back, looking through our legs. And then we're going to lift our tailbone, drop our chest, look straight ahead. And then we're going to drop our tailbone, round our back. Again, look through our legs. Lift our tailbone, drop our chest, look straight ahead. And let's just continue with cat and cow, holding just in whichever feels good. You may want to just alternate between cat and cow. You may want to stay in cat for a few extra breaths or in cow for a few extra breaths. Whatever feels good for our back. We're just going to continue to do this a few more times. We always want to focus on inhaling when our chest is open and exhaling as we come back. We're always leading with our tailbone to protect our spine. So let's just do 2 more of whichever feels good. And then we're going to push back again into child's pose. And again, let's bring our knees to the long edge of the mat, bring our big toes together, and just come all the way down to the mat. This time our hips might just be a little bit softer, we'll see. Let's just let gravity bring our hips down, holding here for 5 breaths. Now let's come back up, hands and knees, knees directly under hips, wrists directly under shoulders, and let's move into spinal balance. Let's start with just legs. And we can always just stay with legs if we like, but we're going to start by lifting our right leg at hip height with our toe to the floor. We're just going to press the sole of our foot to the wall behind us, really feeling that leg working hard as we're pushing, feeling like somebody's pushing against the sole of our foot. Hold there for one more breath. Then placing our knee back on the mat, let's lift our left leg up. Same thing, really pressing that foot away, toe to the floor, feeling somebody's trying to push against the sole of our foot to really, really press that, feeling our leg working hard to stay at hip height. Place that knee back on the mat. Let's do legs, just legs one more time. Right leg up, hip height. Working to keep our hips level so we're not lifting one way or the other. And just noticing which side feels that it's a little bit easier to do or a little bit harder to do. Each side will feel a little bit different. Place that knee back to the mat. Lifting our left leg up, again, same thing, pressing the toe to the floor, sole of the foot to the wall behind us. Just holding for another breath. And now we can continue with just legs if we like, or we can add arms. So we're going to lift our right leg, our left arm with the thumb to the ceiling. Again, we're keeping our core nice and tight so that we are focusing on keeping our hips level, pressing that foot away, pressing the fingertips the opposite direction, keeping our leg at hip height. Now let's switch sides, knee and hand to the mat, left leg up, right arm up. Again, just hold, breathe, activating our leg and our arm, hand and knee back to the mat. Let's do one more on each side, right leg up, left arm up, hold. Again, one side will feel easier than the other side. Just notice that, notice how it feels. Hand and knee back to the mat. Left leg up, right arm up, again. Just hold. And I know I said one more each side, but let's do one more just for fun. So let's lift right leg up, left arm, and hold. And then placing knee and hand back on the mat. One more. Left leg, right arm, and hold, and breathe, and really press. Really make this an active hold. Hand and knee back to the mat. Now let's press back into child's pose again. This time we're going to be in narrow child's pose. We're going to keep our knees together. And we're again just going to press our hips back. Let our head drop to the mat. Neck relaxed. Holding here for 5 breaths. And now as we take our 5th breath, let's walk our fingertips as far out as they will go. So we're going to stretch our back. So we're just staying in child's pose, keeping our hips low, but we're walking those fingertips as far away from us as they'll go. Once they get to the place where we're feeling a stretch in our shoulders, in our armpits, across our back, let's just stay there and just breathe for 5 breaths as we hold that long stretch. And if it feels too much, just bring those fingertips back a little bit. We want it to be a nice, comfortable pull, but no pain. Now let's walk those fingertips back, all the way back, relaxing our back, and just hold again for a few breaths. And now let's walk those fingertips up again, as far away as they'll go, and let's just stretch that back. Just feel the stretch across our back. Just breathe into it. And again, it should just be a nice stretch up the side, no pain. And then walk those fingertips back and just relax. Now let's press our hips over just slightly to the right. And then come back to center. And then press our hips just slightly over to the left, just so we feel a little bit of a stretch across the outside of our hip. And just about at our waist, we should feel a little bit of a stretch. And just hold there. And then come back to center again. And let's just do that one more time. Let's press over to the right. Again, just feeling just a slight kind of stretch pull on the outside of our hip, just at our waist. Just feeling a little bit of a pull. And just breathe into that for 5 breaths. And then back to center again. And then pressing over to the left, same thing again. Should just feel like a comfortable pull. Should feel good. It shouldn't feel painful at all. Again, just for 5 breaths. And then back to center. And then let's move into, bring your fingertips all the way out as far as they'll go and come up into kneeling plank and child's pose. And let's just alternate with child's pose and kneeling plank, back and forth. Let's just do a few of these together. And then if you would like to move into downward facing dog and child's pose, or downward facing dog and full plank, this is the time to do that. So to move into downward facing dog, we turn our toes under, we keep our arms directly underneath our shoulders, we lift and press up so that our hips are just aiming to where the ceiling and the wall meet. So we're just having a nice press upward, our spine, and we're between our shoulder blades is nice and relaxed. If we feel any tightness in our shoulder blades, just focus on relaxing those shoulder blades. And then full plank, we come forward so that our shoulders are over our fingertips. And then pressing back again. And we can just alternate between full plank and downward facing dog, or child's pose and kneeling plank. You can do whatever you would like to do. So child's pose and kneeling plank, or downward facing dog and full plank. So whichever one we're doing, let's do 2 more combinations. So the combination of down dog and full plank, or child's pose and kneeling plank. And once we've done 2 together, let's press back again into child's pose, and we'll hold in child's pose for 5 breaths. And now let's come all the way up. And this is where if we have blocks, we can have them close by if we like. I'll just get both of my blocks. And we're going to bring our right leg forward into a kneeling lunge. So we can stay in this kneeling lunge, or we can come up into a full lunge if we like. We'll just hold in this kneeling lunge just for a couple of breaths. We want to feel a nice stretch in our opposite leg. We want to feel that we're focusing on staying stable. And now if we are in a full lunge, we bring our knee down to the mat. And then we walk our right foot all the way over to the long edge of the mat, and we just lean into that leg. So this might feel kind of tight still. We're just going to hold here for 5 breaths. Just relax into the stretch. And now let's walk that foot back into the center of the mat so that our knee and our ankle are in a straight line. And then turning the toes under of our left leg, lift up and press back. Again, we should feel a nice stretch in our calf and our foot as we're stretching back and just holding here. Again, holding for 5 breaths. Now let's place that knee back down to the mat. Let's bring our right leg back. Let's bring our left leg forward into a kneeling lunge. Again, we can stay in a kneeling lunge, or we can lift up into a full lunge and hold in a full lunge. We're going to hold in whichever we would like for 5 breaths. Just a couple more breaths. Now, if we're in a full lunge, we bring our knee back down to the mat. We bring our right knee back to the mat. We walk our left leg all the way over to the long edge of the mat. Lean into that leg and just hold. Now let's walk that foot back over into the center so that our ankle and our knee are in a straight line. And then turn the toes under of our right foot, lift up, press back into a lunge. Again, like feeling the stretch in our calf and in our foot. Just hold there. Place our knee back down to the mat. Come up, let's do that one more time on each side. So bringing our left leg back, bringing our right knee forward into bent knee and a kneeling lunge. We can stay in the kneeling lunge, or we can come up into a full lunge. If we want to practice coming up into a full lunge, we can bring blocks to either side. Just place our hands on those blocks and just lift up and balance, holding on to those blocks. If that feels good, we can do that. Or we can just hold ourselves in a full lunge. If we're in a full lunge, we bring our knee back down to the mat. And then we walk our right foot over to the long edge of the mat, lean into our leg, and just might feel just a little bit softer this time. Again, we're just going to hold for 5 breaths. This is a stretch. It would be nice to hold for a couple of minutes, but I won't ask you to do that today. These are such tight muscles. They really need a long time to relax. Now let's walk our foot over to the center of the mat again. We want our knee and our ankle in a straight line. We're going to turn the toes under of our left leg, lift up and press back. So we feel that stretch in our calf, and we're going to hold there. And we place that knee back down on the mat. Let's bring our right leg all the way back. Bring our left leg forward, again, into a kneeling lunge. We can stay in this kneeling lunge. We just want to feel a nice stretch in our right leg, keeping our hips stable. Or if we want to work on strength, we can lift up into a full lunge and hold. We can do that just by lifting, or we can do that by balancing on our blocks and not come up quite so high, or we can stay in a kneeling lunge, whichever we would like. Now, if we're in a full lunge, we bring our knee back down to the mat. And then we walk our left foot over to the long edge of the mat and just lean in. Just feel that nice stretch. Again, it might feel a little bit softer this time. Just hold here for a few minutes. Now let's walk that foot back into the mat so that our ankle and our knee are in a straight line. Turn the toes under of our right foot, lift up and press back, feeling that stretch in our calf and our foot. Just hold there for 5 breaths. I said a couple minutes on the other leg, didn't I? Now let's bring our right leg forward so that our right foot and our left foot are next to each other. Sweep our arms all the way up into a standing position. Big breath. Exhale down. Let's do that again. Let's inhale up and exhale down. One more time. Inhale up and exhale down. Now let's take our palms, place them behind our back, interlace our fingers, and just press our chest forward. Just feeling that stretch. Pressing, bringing your shoulder blades together and our chest forward, and just breathing and relaxing. Just 3 more breaths. Now let's bring our hands to heart center and let's move into our warrior poses. Let's step back with our right foot. Not far, we're going to do short stance warrior 1. We're going to step back far enough so that our ankles are in a straight line. So we don't want our ankle behind us or we'll feel like we're off kilter. We don't want it way over here or we won't be able to feel the stretch in our hips. We want our ankles in a straight line. Our right leg, which is behind, is our foot's just turned slightly so that our knee is not being tweaked. And our front leg is bent. We're balancing on the outside edge of our back foot. We're turning so that our hips are facing the short edge of the mat. And our arms are high and we're in short stance warrior 1. Keep our core nice and tight. We're going to hold each of these poses for 5 breaths. And just focus on where we're feeling the stretch, where we're feeling the strength in our legs. Are we feeling balanced? And then we're just going to straighten our front leg. We're going to hinge forward from our hips, letting our arms come down. And we're in pyramid pose. We're just going to press those hips back. Again, we're going to feel the stretch up the back of our leg, feeling the stretch all the way into our hips, continuing to breathe. And then we're just going to drop our hand down as far as we can. We're going to turn so that our chest is facing the long edge of the mat. We're going to bring our arms straight up overhead. And we are in triangle pose. Again, holding this for 5 breaths. Should feel this in our left leg. Should feel that we're working to keep our balance. And then slowly bring our right arm forward. Bring our left hand together, palms together, come all the way up, pivot. So that our right leg is forward, our left leg is back. Again, we're just going to check our position so that our ankles are in a straight line. Our back foot is just turned slightly forward. Our front knee is bent. Our hips are turned so they're facing the short edge of the mat. We're balancing on that outside edge of our back foot. Our arms are high and we're in short stance warrior 1. And then we're just going to straighten our front leg, hinge forward from our hips, letting our arms drop down, and we are in pyramid pose. And now we're just going to let our hand come down even farther, as far down as it'll go. Turn our chest so it's facing the long edge of the mat, bringing our arms straight up overhead, or if our shoulders are giving us a hard time, we can place our hand on our hip and we are in triangle pose. And then we're bringing that hand all the way down, bringing our right arm up, coming all the way up, pivoting again. And this time, we're going to press our left foot back as far as we can. Again, keeping our hips, keeping our heels in a straight line, balancing on the outside edge of our back foot, turning so that our hips are facing the short edge of the mat. Arms are high, long stance, warrior one. Five breaths for each pose. And this opens up our hips a little bit more. This may feel a bit more challenging. We're just going to hold in warrior one. And then we're going to open up our arms, bring our shoulder blades together, turn so that our hips are facing the long edge of the mat. Look out over our front hand in warrior two. You should be feeling, again, this is working to keep our front knee open, pressing behind us so it's not dropping in, keeping our shoulder blades together, keeping our arms high in warrior two. And we drop our back hand down, our front palm over, side bend into reverse warrior. And then we bring our front hand down, front knee is still bent, dropping our hand in front of our bent knee, turning our chest to face the long edge of the mat, bringing this arm straight up overhead in side angle pose. And then we bring that hand, top hand down, bring our palms together, coming all the way up, pivoting again, so that our right leg is forward, our left leg is back. Again, finding the place where our heels are in a straight line, where we can balance on the outside edge of our back foot to keep us sitting into our hips. Hips are facing the short edge of the mat, arms are high, long stance, warrior one. And then we're opening up our arms, turning our chest to face and our hips to face the long edge of the mat, keeping that front knee open, looking out over our front hand in warrior two. Now dropping our back hand down, turning our front palm over, side bend into reverse warrior. And then dropping our front hand down in front of our bent knee, turning our chest to face the long edge of the mat. Again, bringing that arm straight up overhead, or we can even bring it all the way overhead. Pointing our fingers to the opposite wall in side angle pose. And we're bringing that hand down, bringing our palms together, turning so that our feet are wide apart and facing the same direction as our knee. Bring our palms together, sit back into prayer pose. Again, just feel the strength in our legs as we do this. Just hold. Now, straightening our legs, just hinging forward slightly. We can have a block here to lean on, high or low, or we can come all the way down to the mat. Whichever feels good. We're going to feel the stretch in the back of our legs, all the way into our hips. Just continue to breathe. Now let's come up, bring hands to heart center again, straighten all the way up. Sit back, again into prayer pose. Again, just sitting back into our hips. Holding here for 5 breaths. And now hinging forward, pressing our hips back, coming all the way down to the mat or coming to a block, placing our hands on a block, high, low, or all the way down to the floor. Let's bring our hands together, come all the way up. Let's move into our balance poses before we go down to the mat. So let's start by moving into tree pose. Again, tree pose, we just turn our leg out, bring our heel to our ankle. We can stay right there with our toe on the mat if we like. Our hands can be wherever they like, or we can bring our foot up higher. And again, we just focus on something to keep our balance. Just hold. Perfect. And then bring that foot down, foot to the mat. Excellent. Let's turn our left leg out, heel again to the ankle, leaving it there if we like, or we can bring it all the way up and just hold. And then just releasing that foot down. Perfect. Okay. Let's move into, let's do balancing pigeon. We did a lot of chair work today. So let's do balancing pigeon. So in balancing pigeon, we're sitting back into chair and we're lifting our right leg over our left knee and just sitting back and holding in balancing pigeon. See how people are doing, if they'll show me. So we sit back in chair. Let's release that leg. Place our feet back on the mat. Perfect. Sit back into chair. Take our left leg and cross it over our right. So sit back in balancing half pigeon. Boy, that looks like it's really easy for all of you. We'll have to make something harder. And put that foot back down. And let's do balancing half moon just for fun. Again, we can do it against a wall or we can do it free form. So balancing half moon, placing our hip up against the wall or just standing free form, whichever we would like. If we're up against a wall, which if we haven't done it before is a good thing to do, up against the wall, and we just hinge forward so that our right leg's against the wall, right hip is against the wall, our left leg is coming up. We turn so that we're balancing on one leg and we have our arms straight up in balancing half moon. It was a full moon last night or the night before, so this is a good one to do right now. And then coming down, just bring our arm down, bring our leg down, hands together, other side. So Left leg is up against the wall, left hip. Just hinge forward, lifting our right leg up, and then turning so that we're just balancing on one leg. Pretty cool, huh? Just hold there. And then bring that arm down, bring our leg down, bring our hands to heart center. Beautiful. We're going to swan dive all the way down to the mat. And we're going to come all the way down so that we're going to open up our arms, bend our knees, swan dive all the way down, and then bring ourselves around so that we're sitting on the mat. Got everybody seated on the mat. Then we're going to hold on to the backs of our legs, and we're going to come all the way back down to the mat and bring our knees to our chest. We're just going to roll around, back and forth, making circles with our knees to our chest. And then take our hands and really press on our shins and just press our legs into our chest. You should really feel, as we do that, we should feel the strength in our arms. And we should also feel our hip flexors just stretching out. Now let's release our hands. Let's drop our bent knees to the floor. So feet flat to the floor, but with bent knees. And we're going to move into bridge pose. So let's press through our feet, lifting our hips up to the ceiling. And just press up. Again, we're going to hold these for 5 breaths. Now let's drop down. Let's bring our knees to our chest again. Just pull them in. Now let's drop our feet one more time. Both feet lift up into bridge pose, pressing our hips up as high as they'll go to the ceiling. And then dropping down again, bringing our knees to our chest. Let's drop our right foot to the mat, keep our left leg bent, and lift up with just our right leg. And again, we can hold this for 5 breaths. And if we prefer to do 2-leg bridge, that's fine, whatever works. And then come on down, bring our knees to our chest again. Drop our left leg down if we're doing 1 leg, or both feet if we're doing 2-legged bridge, and lift up. And again, one side will feel easier than the other. Just going to hold here. And come all the way down. Bring our knees to our chest again. Now let's drop our bent knee, keep our left knee bent and drop our foot to the mat. Straighten our right leg long on the mat. So keep that right leg long, left knee bent. We're going to move into just a bit of a twist. So we're going to lift our hips up off the mat, and we're going to press our right side towards our left side. So we're going to lift, press towards our left, and drop our knee across our straight leg. Bring our arms out wide at shoulder height, and we're going to hold in this twist again for 5 breaths. Now let's lift our hips up off the mat so we're flat again on the mat. Let's straighten our left leg, bend our right knee. So our left leg is long now, our right knee is bent. We're going to lift up and press our hips towards our right side. So press towards our right and let that knee drop across our straight leg. Opening up wide and just hold there. Now let's lift up, bring our hips flat on the mat again. Let's bring our knees to our chest again and just roll around. Now let's drop our right leg down. We can keep it bent or we can keep it long, whichever feels better. Take our right leg and just holding on to the back of our thigh, back of our leg, let's just hold in and pull in so we feel stretch all the way up that leg. So it's a bit of an inversion. We have one leg straight up and we're just stabilizing it by holding on to the upper part of our leg and just hold here. And while we're up here, let's roll our ankles if that feels good. Just roll them around. I can hear mine cracking. Okay, let's drop that leg down. We can keep the knee bent if it feels comfortable or bring it long. Take our left leg, again, holding onto the back of our leg. Let's just pull that leg in. The sole of our foot is right now, it's just towards the ceiling. Let's just hold that in for just a few breaths. And while we're up here, let's just roll that ankle if that feels good. Now let's bring our knees to our chest one more time. Now let's bring our feet into butterfly. And just let our hips, our knees drop down and just hold in butterfly. We can bring our arms open at shoulder height if we like. If we want to have a block underneath our back, we can put a block under our back. It would just open up our chest a bit more, or a pillow. We'll just hold here. This will be our last pose before we move into our final relaxation. But we're going to hold this. And we're also going to just do another butterfly bridge before we move into final relaxation. So let's just hold here for another 5 breaths. Now let's just lift up just an inch off the mat, pressing on the outside edge of our feet. If we have a block under our back, we remove it before we do this. So if we have a block under our back, let's take it out and then lift up into a butterfly bridge. So we're just using the outside edge of our feet to just lift up slightly. And then we're dropping our hips back down to the mat. And then let's lift up one more time, just lift up just about an inch off the mat. and then drop back down again. And one more time, just lift up slightly and dropping back to the mat, letting our hips, letting our knees drop. Now let's find the position that is most comfortable for our final relaxation. We can stay in this position if we like, with a pillow under our back, or we can have our legs long and our arms open, whatever feels best. I'm going to leave you in your final relaxation for 5 minutes, and then I'll come back and bring you back into the room. Let's start to wiggle our fingers and our toes, slowly bringing ourselves back into the room. rub our palms together, warming our hands. And when we feel warmth, place our hands over our eyes and slowly open our fingers, letting the light back in. And then coming over to the side of the mat and coming up to a comfortable seated position. If we can put our mics on so we can hear each other, that would be great. So thank you all for coming in on this gray February day to practice together. I hope you have a wonderful week, and namaste.
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 Thank you, Pat. Have a
Thank
good
you.
week.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Pat.
Thanks. Good to
Yeah.
see everybody.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
one question.
Yeah.
Turn on the light for a second.
Sure.
Okay, so
Bye,
I
Anthony.
was doing one of the I was doing one of the first like stretches, but the problem was basically I kind of did like this, and I had this foot back, and then I tried to get can you see me now?
I'm just taking the spotlight off so I can see you better. Okay.
Just see if I can push it down a little bit for you to see.
Okay. I can see you now, Aiden.
It just kind of felt like I almost.
I'm going to go.